Retriever Choice Chops Adult Complete Dog Food Review. All right, guys. Retriever dog food. Very controversial. Something that you all always, guys, hear me calling cheap, crappy dog food. Right now, it's the dead of winter. We got puppies and adult dogs. Everybody's hungry. The pups are eating a lot of food. And it's costing us a lot of money to feed these dogs, upwards to $300 a week. So in order for us to even make any of this make sense, we have to take steps. So we had to get some retriever. And I've used this before, not this one, but the high protein. It's never really worked well for me, but I never used it properly. Basically what I mean by that is when you switch dog foods, you're supposed to switch them slowly, not just give it to them. Then also you got to give it some time for the dogs to get used to it. So off the bat, let's get into review. It says 23 vitamins, health, meaty taste, high quality proteins to support muscles, no artificial flavors. But it does have artificial colors. But let's get into the review. We got ingredients: ground corn, meat meal, bone meal, soybean meal, wheat moldings, and animal fat, preserved with citric acid, natural flavors, and dried cheese products. So, ground corn. Corn is a very good digestible grain that is high in amino acids. One is lilac acid or whatever. It's good for the skin and the coat. What I'll say about that is corn is very good. You know, it may not be that great for some people, but a lot of breeders I see out here that have a lot of dogs, they're definitely using low budget dog food. But I don't think that it's necessarily low budget. This is the dog food that we all grew up using. Not this one, but either this or dog chow. Next, we have meat and bone meal. Okay, so the meat meal is just pieces of meat that were left over from the slaughterhouse that they use. It could be anything: hooves, tongue, lips, whatever. And then the bone meal, is just ground up bones that they had left over from the slaughterhouse. What I would say about the meat meal is chunks and pieces of meat. That's kind of good, you know what I mean? The process in which they make this meat meal, you know, we don't know what the process is. Stop. This guy right here messing with a dang on rat trap. But basically, we don't know the process of how they make any dog food. We don't know the process of how they make our own food. So for anyone that has any doubts about what's in here, who cares? I mean, we don't know what they're feeding us, and we don't know what's in this meat and bone meal. Just like we don't know what's in the chicken nugget. This might not be the greatest review, but let's just get into it. One thing I'll say is, hey, it has meat, it has bones. It has meat milled up and bones milled up. I mean, dogs love bones and dogs love meat. And all I can say is they grind this product up and they heat it up and then they dry it. So, you know, this project, let's just say that it's healthy as far as it doesn't contain any contaminants because they dry it, they heat it up, kill any bacteria or any, you know, viruses, and then they cook it up. Next, we have soybean meal. Soybean has a protein and amino acids or whatever, you know, I guess those are proteins that are short link, that are very easily digested and absorbed by dogs. And next we have wheat millings. Wheat millings is actually funny. I looked this up. So wheat milling contains wheat germ, wheat endosperm, and wheat hull and wheat germ. So those are all the pieces of the wheat that are actually contain phosphorus, zinc. They contain all the nutrients that we don't get when we eat digested flour. Basically, after they take all the stuff out of the flour, that you don't need, that was good for you or beneficial to you, all the fiber and all the you know, all the amino acids and the vitamins, after they take all that out so your flour is nice and fluffy and white and pure and bleached, this is the part that you should have ate that was the most beneficial to you. They put it in here. So this is pretty beneficial because it has all that in there. Next, it has animal fat, and it's preserved with BHA, which I believe is a chemical, and citrus acid. And I think citrus acid is not really necessarily naturally made. I think they make it unnaturally. And then next, you have a dried cheese product, which is probably like some kind of whey protein or something to add some flavor or something. Then next you have vitamin A, vitamin D, niacin, calcium, pantothenic, I don't know what that is, thiamine, mononitrate, riboflavin, folic acid, biotin, vitamin 12, minerals, zinc, copper, sulfur, sulfate, magnesium, calcium, iodine, sodium, selenite. You know, I'm not going to get into what all these are, but let's just say that this contains a lot of vitamins. Like it says, 23 vitamins and minerals. Let's go to the calories. So when you go to the calories, you notice that it's 343 calories per cup. The funny thing is when I did my research, that 340 calories is the exact amount of calories you'd get from wheat millings. You see, corn will be up in the 400s, and flour will be up in over the 400s as far as calories. But that wheat moldings is exactly 340, which leads me to believe that basically all of the calories are coming from this wheat millings. Now, obviously, there's probably some coming from the other things, but I'm going to just say wheat millings. What I'll say about that is this is a low-calorie food, and it's also low in protein, low in fat. And what I will say about that is, hey, us bully breeders and dog breeders and just anyone that's just been buying dog food, we've been buying really highly protein-contained dog foods. We've been buying high-fat-contained dog foods. And I believe, I could be wrong now, that maybe some of the skin issues that I see in certain dogs is coming because people are giving their dogs way too much protein and way too much fat. Just a thought. I could be wrong, but I could be right. And I'm sure that I'm wrong. I'm right, because some dogs are probably getting sick from having too much protein. Some dogs aren't. And the only way to know which ones aren't getting sick and the ones that are getting sick is to change your dog over to something like this that's very low. So like I said, next thing you'll know is, like I said, it's 18% protein. When I did my research, I also stumbled upon the fact that a dog's food minimum and an AACAO or whatever it is, ASCFO or certifications for dog food, whoever the fuck it is, excuse my French, basically says that you need to have at least 18% protein in dog food. Puppy food needs to be at least 22% for puppies and nursing mothers. So let's get into that. This is exactly that level. If you have a dog, so basically, and I also did a mathematical equation. I believe it's let's just call it 6 grams of protein per ounce of dog food. If 1 cup is 8 ounce, let's just call it 48. Let's just call it almost 50 grams per cup of dog food. And it's probably not 50, but let's just call it 50. Really like 40. Let's call it 40. Because it was 5.6. So we'll just call it 40. 40 grams of protein per cup of dog food. If you give a cup of dog food 2 cups of this, you're looking at about 80 grams of protein. I think that you're supposed to give 1 gram of protein per body weight. So if your dog is, like it says here, 100 pounds, you'd only need to give the dog 3 cups of food a day. And as you can see, it definitely says 3.5 to 5 cups for 100 pounds. 5.5 to 5.5, cups for a dog over 100 pounds. And really, that's really not that much if you really think about it. I tend to feed my dogs a lot less than this, a lot less than, what the recommendations on all bags are. But if you really think about it, 3 cups will be perfect for me, because I don't want to have a massive cleanup, because I will be honest, they will not digest this food that much, and it will be a lot of poo. And honestly, the only other dog food that doesn't provide a lot of poo, is Victor. Victor High Protein Plus is the only dog food that I know of that does not create a lot of poo. And maybe Blue Buffalo, and different Blue Buffaloes doesn't create a lot of poo. Other than that, you're going to be swimming in poo. So it really doesn't matter if you're not using Blue Buffalo, or if you're not using Blue Buffalo, or you're not using Victor High Protein Plus. Every other brand of dog food I've seen is going to give you a ton of poo. And that's just been my analysis. But what I can say with this is, you guys need to give this a try. If your dogs are not, if your dog has any skin issues, or irritations, hot spots, try something like this. Reduce the protein and fat in the dog food. Cut it down. You got Victor and other high protein dog foods that are coming in at 30 grams of protein. Now, these 30 grams of protein that you're seeing in these other dog foods, I guarantee that they're coming from plant matter, and they're not coming from meat. Because if you think about this, this is the original dog food. All I got to do is take the original dog food, change a few numbers and a few letters, and finagle some stuff, give a crazy package, and then you'll come buy my food. Put $50, $60 on the pack, and you'll buy it. And that's the truth. So next, I want to say something about this retriever dog food. One thing I want to say, this dog food, if you are a hunter, or if you are a sled dog runner, or if you just, do anything with dogs if you run them or do anything that involves activities, this is the dog food that people use. They use this dog food because they can afford it. If you're out on the, running sled dogs, or, chasing around a bunch of deers, or if you have a bunch of beagles or bloodhounds, this is the dog food that people use. And the main number one reason is the affordability. And obviously it keeps the dogs alive. So I can't say whether this food is really good or better than the next food. All I can say is it's cost efficient. If you have 100 dogs, this is what you're going to use. You're not going to buy a $100 bag of dog food and pour it out, and then need a bag of dog food every day for $100 and spend $3,000. So I think that from here on out, I have to give in and keep a bag of this retriever on hand at all times. You can give it as a treat. Obviously, we feed a lot of chicken. And when it comes to the chicken, we give a lot of chicken. And they're never satisfied unless they have dog food. You can give them 10 pieces of chicken. 10 pieces of chicken will not satisfy them as one bowl of this crappy dog food right here is. But what I want to say is, it's very low in calories, and that can be good in a way, because a lot of times our dogs are not getting out and getting the exercise they need. So if you load them up with a dog food that's 440 calories and give it to them, next thing you know, they bouncing around the house, chewing up everything, chewing up slippers, chewing up the house, and destroying things. But if you use a dog food like this, you won't have to worry about as much excess energy. The dog should be able to handle this a little bit better. Like I said, they say the corn is pretty good for dogs. They say the soybean is pretty good. and the wheat millings. These are all cheap products, supposedly, but it all just depends on the dog and how you use it. Obviously, if you use this with a combination of, you know, some healthy fats and healthy vegetables, or if you just use it as a treat, it shouldn't be an issue. You know, so I don't know. We're going to give it a try. We're going to see how it works out. If it works out or not, we're going to keep it on hand because we can't sustain $300 a month. I mean, a week for dog food. We just won't make any profit, and we won't see the light of day, you know? So this is where we at right now, y'all. We're trying to get through the winter. We're going to get this retriever a try. Obviously, they have another version. They have a puppy, and they also have a high protein. We'll probably lean towards more the high protein one. I think my wife didn't quite understand or didn't see the high protein, or she said she didn't see it. But we're going to lean towards the high protein. Thanks, guys.